The human brain is built on the assumption that everything has limits. We feel secure when things have a shape, a size, and a clear boundary we can recognize. Even the vast, endless ocean doesn't frighten us, because deep down, we believe there's land out there somewhere. And the sky, too, doesn't feel infinite, because we know it eventually gives way to the edge of the atmosphere. But when we start talking about space, all of that familiar logic just shatters. The moment we hear the word infinity, our thoughts begin to freeze up. Infinity itself feels like a bottomless, unknowable fear. It's something so alien, so far beyond our instincts, we just can't wrap our heads around it. Hey everyone, welcome back. But what if the universe actually did have an edge? What if beyond that edge was something even stranger, even more unsettling? If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now's the perfect time. Let's dive into the wonders and mysteries of this universe together. You're watching our channel, and we're glad to have you here. In today's video, we're going to look straight at the unthinkable. What lies beyond the edge of the universe, if there even is an edge? Alright, let's begin. Hypothesis 1. Absolute nothingness. So, let's take a peek beyond that edge of the universe. And what do we find there? Nothing at all. Truly, completely, absolutely nothing. This brings us to one of the strangest, most terrifying ideas ever proposed, the possibility that beyond the universe, there is simply nothing. But we're not talking about an empty space like a vacuum with no matter. No, this is something much deeper. It's the purest, most fundamental kind of nothingness imaginable. There is no space, no time, not even the faintest trace of energy. The very concepts of direction or orientation don't apply. You can't ask where it is or when it happens because those ideas simply break down. According to this theory, our universe is like a thin, fragile soap bubble floating in a vast void of non-existence. Everything that exists is contained within that delicate bubble. Even if someone could somehow cross the boundary of the universe and step outside, that place wouldn't be a somewhere. The instant they crossed over, their very existence would vanish completely. That's because outside the universe, the very possibility of existing doesn't exist. Even the concept of existence itself has no place there. This kind of nothingness is beyond anything we can picture. We try to imagine it as a dark void, a bottomless abyss, or a thick fog, but even those are still something. Darkness, after all, is just the absence of light in a vacuum, and that's still part of our universe. But outside of it, there's no light, no vacuum, no anything at all. Does that sound terrifying? Of course it does. Because if this is true, then even our vast and majestic universe is nothing more than a tiny drop of existence, floating in an unimaginable sea of absolute nothing. And there's no guarantee that this universe of ours won't someday just vanish without a trace. Hypothesis 2. Hyperspace. Just a moment ago, we looked beyond the edge of the universe and caught a glimpse of absolute nothingness. But what if it's actually the complete opposite? What if the space outside our universe isn't a cold, empty void at all? What if, instead, it's packed to the brim with too much? So much, in fact, that our minds can't even begin to comprehend it. So much that our three-dimensional brains can't make any sense of it, no matter how hard we try. This is where the idea known as the hyperspace hypothesis comes in. Picture this. What if our vast universe is actually just a thin, three-dimensional sheet floating inside a far more complex and layered reality? In that deeper reality, there may not just be 3 dimensions of space. There could be 10, or 100, or maybe even an infinite number of dimensions we can't even begin to grasp. Our world might be nothing more than a flat image, pasted like wallpaper onto the wall of some massive maze, stretching in directions we've never imagined. Everything we think of as space, time, and the laws of physics could actually just be a thin projection, a shallow slice, of something much more fundamental and multidimensional. So then, what exactly exists in those extra dimensions? The truth is, no one really knows. There could be unfamiliar forms of matter, unknown types of energy, or even entirely new systems of information beyond anything we've ever discovered. Maybe there are intelligent beings out there who see our universe as nothing more than a primitive two-dimensional shadow. And if our universe ever trembles or shifts, even just a little, those beings might have the power to tear it apart in ways we couldn't even imagine. Because the truth is, we've never seen, never touched, and never understood what might be hiding in those higher dimensions. Then again, maybe we won't be torn apart after all. Maybe those beings are just quietly watching us from afar. Like how we might absent-mindedly stare at the shadow of a tree branch swaying gently on a wall in the breeze, watching with just a tiny bit of curiosity, but never really getting involved. And if those beings ever did have an opinion about us, well, honestly, I'd rather not think about it. Just the idea that our world might be nothing more than a tiny fragment of some deeper, more complex reality, that alone is enough to send chills down your spine. Hypothesis 3. The Multiverse. So far, we've stared into absolute nothingness and peeked into the mysterious depths of hyperspace. But there's another idea that shakes the very core of our imagination. It's called the multiverse theory, the hypothesis of multiple universes. What if our universe isn't one of a kind at all? What if this universe is just one among countless others, all existing side by side? Imagine it like a single tiny bubble floating in a vast sea of endlessly bubbling foam. In this enormous cosmic soup, new universes might be popping into existence every single second. Some of these universes might not even have matter as we know it. In others, time could flow in reverse, ticking backward from end to beginning. And still others could be ruled by physical laws that are completely beyond our understanding. There's even a theory that says every tiny quantum decision spawns a new universe, branching reality with each possible outcome. Every breath you take, every choice you make, every tiny motion might be creating a brand new branch in this forest of worlds. A forest of endless possibilities, spreading outward in every direction forever. Now, just imagine, if there truly are infinite universes, there must be one where you were never born. Or maybe one where you exist but with a completely different personality. There might even be universes where Earth itself never formed. And maybe, somewhere out there, intelligent beings completely unlike us are gazing up at their own night sky, wondering if they're the only ones in their universe. All the while having no idea that their world is just one bubble among billions. And one day, those bubbles might even collide. In that moment, everything we know could be swept away into the chaos of an entirely different reality. Hypothesis 4. Brain collision. In this theory, even the fate of our entire universe could be determined by something or someone moving just beyond its edge. This is the concept known as brain collision, or in other words, the collision of cosmic membranes. The term brain is simply a contraction of the word membrane. It originates from advanced physics theories like superstring theory and M-theory. A brain refers to a physical structure that exists within higher dimensional space. Our universe, according to this idea, is a three-brain, meaning it's a three-dimensional membrane. There are also theorized to be one brains, which are one-dimensional membranes, and two brains, which are two-dimensional. So according to some of these models, our universe is actually a huge, flat, floating membrane. Picture it as a thin film drifting through a higher dimensional space, surrounded by other membranes just like it. There could be countless such membranes out there. They drift, they pulse, they ripple, constantly disturbing the mysterious order of hyperspace. And maybe, just maybe, it was a violent crash between two of those membranes that triggered the Big Bang. And if it happened once, then what's stopping it from happening again? Somewhere beyond our universe, another brain could be floating nearby right now. We don't know if it's still, moving slowly, or already rushing toward us. The scariest part? There's absolutely no way for us to detect it in advance. Everything might happen all at once, in a single final instant. And when it does, the two universes could collide in a catastrophic explosion, wiping out everything we know, down to the last trace. Would a brand new universe be born out of that destruction? Or would our universe disappear so completely that not even the faintest echo would remain? Hypothesis 5. The simulation. We've already stretched our imaginations across infinite worlds. But now comes a theory that doesn't try to describe what lies outside the universe, yet somehow feels even more terrifying. Because in this hypothesis, the very idea of reality itself turns out to be a lie. This is the simulation hypothesis. What if everything in this universe is part of a program, just one giant simulation? A digital model constructed with lines of code. Vast in scale, astonishingly precise in its calculations, but ultimately completely artificial. The stars, the galaxies, the atoms, even the laws of physics, at their core could all be nothing more than programmed code. Time itself, just a function of processing speed. Space, nothing more than a virtual grid. We may be characters living inside an unimaginably complex and detailed piece of software. So then, who wrote that code? That part remains a complete mystery. It could be a hyper-advanced civilization from some other reality. Or perhaps a being that sees us as nothing more than test subjects in an experiment. Or maybe it's something so far beyond words we couldn't begin to describe it. In this theory, the idea of God becomes the ultimate programmer, the one who designed the algorithms and runs the world. We search for answers in quantum physics, gravity, and cosmic background radiation. But what if all those strange phenomena are just bugs, glitches, or intentional design limits built into the system? So then, what lies outside the universe in this version of reality? Hardware, a server room, an infrastructure. A completely different world might exist out there. One where our creators live, occasionally peeking in on us the way we watch characters in a video game. And what if one day, just like releasing a new version of a game, they launch an updated universe? What would happen to us then? The eeriest part of this hypothesis is how powerless it makes us. We don't even know if we can ever reach the truth. Maybe our code was written in a way that prevents us from ever knowing in the first place. So far, this theory hasn't been proven or disproven. One of its strangest features is that it doesn't contradict any other theories. It doesn't explain the workings of the universe, it just wraps around them. And for those who have faith, this hypothesis might not really change anything at all. 5 different hypotheses. Each one is an attempt to peer beyond the edge, into what lies after everything we know. Absolute nothingness, a world where even the idea of existence itself disappears. Hyperspace, a reality so complex our minds can't even begin to comprehend it. The Multiverse, a dreamlike forest of infinite branches where anything and everything might happen. Drifting brains, whose collisions might create universes or bring them to their end. And finally, the simulation, a world where we live unaware, trapped inside an illusion. So, which of these is the truth? We simply don't know. Maybe the truth is even more terrifying than any of these. Or maybe it's something far beyond what the human mind is capable of grasping. But that's exactly where the beauty and the deep unknowable fear of being human lies. We stand at the edge of a great and endless unknown. And with each step we take through science, we quietly offer questions into the dark. Will the void answer back, or will it respond with only more silence? If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a like and share it with someone who loves the mysteries of the universe. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care and goodbye.